Today we will be discussing the Off-White Jordan 5 sale. Specifically, we will be discussing some release info, how to cop them, and of course, like always, some resale predictions for everything at the end of the video. The Jordan 5 Off-White sale will be dropping on October 29th, this Thursday. However, the Off-White Jordan clothing from this collaboration will be dropping later this year, not on the 29th. This pair will come in a full family size run, just like the last Jordan 5 Off-White in black. Men's sizes will be $225, preschool will be $80, and toddler will be $60. Regarding resale, we will cover that towards the end of the video as always for all sizes, not just men. Now, regarding stock, you guys aren't going to like to hear this to say the very least. Between men, preschool, and toddler all combined, it's only 30,000 pairs worldwide. You may have been expecting marginally more than that because one source in particular posted that there were over 40,000 of the black pair last year, but that number was also incorrect. The stock on these pairs are essentially the same as the black, which is just about 30k worldwide, all sizes combined. To put this to scale, the Mochas have 280k and the Concord 11 had over 1 million pairs. So it's certainly not looking great, but what do you expect from Off-White Nike? None are easy to cop at all, to say the very least. But now, with the release info out of the way, let's jump into how to cop these. Kicking it off, regarding any raffles, you should expect me to tweet out a raffle list for this drop, so make sure you follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and as raffles do come up, myself and some staff will be tweeting them out on personals for you. This is an account that I recently just made to help you guys out even more for free. My main account will still alert you guys for shock drops as usual and whatnot, but this account will also have the help of other staff, so in case I do lose Wi-Fi hypothetically, or something and a shock drop happens or a restock is coming, staff will still be able to tweet out on that account, so I highly suggest following it. But anyway, kicking it off, let's move on to the first come first serve drops, starting with offwhite.com because they will be dropping these. So first, regarding the time, they never announce it beforehand, but it's almost always just about 3 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. local in Europe. Sometimes it is around 4 a.m. Eastern time, but normally it's just around 3 a.m. Eastern time. That should be the time you're prepared for if you're going for that. And I say if because of what I'm going to mention a little later. You'll see. When they do go live, personals for you will tweet out. Make sure to give this account a follow if you guys have not already. Please ensure you have made an account beforehand in advance, along with adding all of your personal information, such as your address. Don't wait until right before the drop because the site will be extremely laggy. If you don't know the Off-White site domain, don't worry. I have that added in the link in the description below for you guys, so just scroll all the way down to the bottom and the link will be there for you guys if you couldn't find the site otherwise. When the product does drop, you might have to verify that you are a human before adding to cart by submitting your phone number through SMS verification. I say might because they may eventually soon realize that it's not effective for stopping bots and only hinders manual users. The past 2 drops, in fact, they used it for the Jordan 4s and also for the Dunks, and as usual, it hardly worked due to the poor site performance. If they do, they will then send you a code which you then need to input to be able to add the item to cart. Their strategy was to reduce bots to checkout with this, but whoever came up with this failed to realize that all bots are not front end anyway, so this has literally no effect. This completely defeats the purpose. For example, on the Off-White Jordan 4 drop and the Dunk drop, bots completely destroyed the release because bots just bypass the SMS verification portion and only manual users have to actually go through that, which is absolutely terrible. In addition, 90% of people weren't even getting the SMS codes because the site was suffering so much. So if they do add it before this drop, it definitely will be a pain to try to receive the code, but you'll just have to keep on trying, that's all I can say. In general, the site is really awful to say the very least. The servers are not stable enough to handle the mass amount of traffic. This happens drop after drop. It's the same thing over and over again and they still don't increase their server size, so be prepared to experience numerous errors for hours. Very unlikely to cop manually off of here unless your requests do go through really smoothly, which is a rarity of course. They normally don't even sell out too fast just because it's so difficult to actually order manually or with bots off of here. Speaking of botting, if you are planning to bot the site, make sure you do have plenty of residential data as it will likely last a while. If anyone does need fast, reliable residential proxies, be sure to check out Kit Proxies. The link is in the description below. I'll leave it up to you guys if you do want to stay awake until 3 a.m. for this drop or 4 a.m. even, but I'm just trying to give it to you guys straight. There's no point sugarcoating this awful site. Going to be loads of errors, the last thing I want is for you guys to stay up until 3 a.m. expecting an easy cop, because although it is very possible to cop manually, it's very unlikely. Now, moving on from the Off-White drop, let's discuss Nike sneakers. This is going to be your number one chance by far for copying these, just like it will be for the mochas as well. Be sure to watch that video if you haven't already, by the way. Not only is the most stock allocated to Nike sneakers by a significant amount, but they have also been doing an incredible job with stopping bots recently. The minimal amount of success that bots do get on these very high drops is solely through browser mode, which prevents mass tasks from being ran unlike before. Regarding the time, it will be at 10 a.m. Eastern time for US and 9 a.m. local for Europe. Now, what's the most efficient way to cop off of Nike sneakers manually? So this drop is currently loaded as a Leo drop. However, I would not be surprised if they actually end up updating the drop to a Dan drop, also known as a draw. Prior to the Off-White Jordan 4 drop, they actually kept changing it from Leo to Dan and vice versa. I'll keep you guys updated as we approach the drop though. Remember to subscribe and enable post notifications just so you stay 100% updated on all these hyped profitable sneakers. If it ends up remaining as a Leo drops essentially look very similar to a first come first serve drop, but are actually just 2 to 3 minute draws in disguise. Leo stands for let everyone order. If they change it to a Dan, also known as a draw, it's basically just a 10-minute raffle. Same as a Leo, the same process. The only difference is you now have 10 minutes to enter rather than just a 2 to 3 minutes on a Leo drop, which is what this is currently set for now. But it's not quite that simple either. When it does come to very hype drops like this, Off-White, Travis, even Jordan 1 highs, etc., filtering of accounts is very high. This is what I was trying to stress in my last video, so again, be sure to check that out if you haven't already. So in order to combat this, you do need to prime your Nike sneakers accounts just like you would prime your Gmail accounts when trying to avoid fading captchas. When it comes to Nike sneakers accounts, in order to generate activity, you can favorite multiple products, click the share option, and simply going for more drops in general, because believe it or not, taking L's actually does increase your chances of winning, as well as receiving exclusive access too, so that's another perk. Another highly suggested method is watching the street sneakers videos on your account, so whenever they do put out any content of that nature, just try to engage with it on as many accounts as possible, and all those combined is going to be an efficient method for increasing activity overall on these accounts, thus increasing your chances of actually copying on any of these accounts. Now, whether it's a Leo or Dan drop comes the 29th, the more active accounts you are able to enter within the period of time they allot you, the better your chances of copying will be. If you guys do need to make more accounts, remember that Nike does require SMS verification and you can't use the same number twice, so you will have to ask a friend to use their phone number and ask for the verification code. This is another thing that I did discuss in my last video. However, if you rather not bother your friends or you just want a significant amount of pre-verified Nike sneakers accounts in general, feel free to check out the link in the description for my site TARS. And one additional note, which is very important if this does end up being a draw, not so much if it's a Leo drop, but if it's a draw when they do give you 10 minutes, you're going to be able to make a lot of entries, so I do want to mention that. And this is that if you do send too many requests in a small period of time on the same IP address, you do risk getting temporarily IP banned and your entries being invalidated. Therefore, I would suggest that you do make half of your entries on your home Wi-Fi, then another half of your entries on your phone's hotspot. If you intend to make more than 12 to 14 total entries, I would suggest enabling airplane mode, then disabling it, and then reconnecting to the same hotspot. You will have a slightly different IP due to this. But if it ends up being a Leo drop on the other hand, which is what it's currently set at, so this is hypothetically if they don't end up updating it to a draw, I wouldn't really worry about it too much, because within 2 to 3 minutes, you're not likely going to be able to submit as many requests as it would take to get you temporarily IP banned, so I wouldn't stress about it too much if that's the case. Now, as for unconfirmed potential drops to look out for as well, there are a few Shopify sites that tend to drop very hyped items just like this, but none have announced and either won't announce at all, which is most likely going to be the case, or at best they might announce the night before, so it might be worth checking their social media accounts on the 28th, but again, I really do doubt that they'll post anything. So starting off, Undefeated may potentially drop. Again, this is very unlikely. If they do, for extremely hyped shoes like this, it won't be at the usual 8 a.m. Eastern time for Undefeated. Instead, it would be hypothetically at 12 p.m. Eastern time, or around 1 p.m. Eastern time, or 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. Those are the most common common times for very hype drops on Undefeated. Again, it's very possible that they may not drop at all though. Another one that is very likely to drop, which I will be able to confirm just a couple days out from the drop. Now obviously if you are in a group that does provide Kith early links, you'll want to take advantage of that at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Or you could choose to just strictly focus on sneakers and maximize your amount of entries. It's up to you what you want to do there. Then also Dover Street Market London and Dover Street Market New York may potentially drop as well. Hypothetically, if they do, it would be 6 a.m. Eastern time for Dover Street Market London and 11 a.m. Eastern time for Dover Street Market New York. It's unfortunately nearly impossible to cop off of here unless you do have a bot or at least an autofiller, but try your best of course. And it definitely is worth looking out for these potential drops because they don't interfere with the main drops being Nike sneakers and Off-White, since it is 6 a.m. Eastern time for London and 11 a.m. Eastern time for Dover Street Market New York, so might as well at least be prepared just to be safe. Now, regarding resale, when it does come to these pairs, I'm expecting a very similar performance to what we saw with the Off-White Jordan 5 in black, meaning that the men's sizes, you could expect those to be extremely profitable with an incredible margin, of course. Also, for any of you guys who do intend on asking me if these are going to be a hold or sell now item, although I do personally feel that they will go up over time, I personally won't be holding these. And if you're wondering why I'm not going to be holding these despite them going up in value, you could feel free to watch this video right here. This is something I discussed in depth about the margins when it comes to holding sneakers and why it's actually not so great when it comes to holding sneakers such as these Off-White Jordan 5s that are going to be going for a ton. So that would be a video I would highly suggest checking out if you haven't already. But anyway, moving on, regarding the preschool pairs and the toddler pairs, I'm expecting those to be both profitable as well, very similar to what we saw on the black pairs again. So I'm expecting a pretty decent margin on these since the retail is really low on these. Obviously, they're not going to be as profitable or even nearly as profitable as the men's sizes, but regardless, I still highly suggest going for all sizes. So that means you shouldn't only be going for the men's sizes, you should also be going for preschool and toddler sizes, both because they should all be profitable. And also, it's worth noting, just in general, worst case, Nike sneakers does have 100% free returns, so there's absolutely no risk whatsoever, but you're really not going to have to return when it does come to this drop. That's just more or less something I wanted to mention for future notes, so you guys just have that in mind. And also, what's worth noting for Nike sneakers is you could cancel orders within 30 minutes, and a big misconception is that canceling orders actually hinders your account. That's not the case at all. It's not going to hinder your account at all to cancel something. You'll still be able to cop completely fine. Your chances are equivalent to if you had not canceled an order. So if you do cancel within 30 minutes, that's also completely fine. Again, this isn't really pertaining to the Jordan 5s because you're not going to have to cancel these, but I just figured I would mention that because it's something I get asked a lot when it comes to more high risk type shoes that have low margins. These though, that won't be the case. But anyway, good luck on this drop. We're all going to be needing it. That will conclude it for this video. Feel free to leave a like if you did enjoy or you perhaps learn a thing or two. Also, subscribe and enable post notifications just so you stay 100% updated on all hyped sneaker releases. And remember, if you guys do need Nike sneakers account, be sure to check the link in the description for TARs and also kit proxies. And of course, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10, and also personals for you as always to stay 100% updated on every single restock, every single drop, etc. With that, I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Can't you find somewhere else to keep it put? Get your foot off my foot.